podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Network's 200 radio stations coast to coast. It's a radio show. We turn it into a podcast. This one aired Sunday, March 8th, 2020. It's episode 1676. Enjoy. Tech Guy podcast comes to you from Twit's LastPass Studios. Stay in control when it comes to your company's access points and authentication. LastPass makes enterprise-level security simple. Check it out at lastpass.com/twit to learn more. Yeah. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, everything with a chip in it. That's our beat here on the show. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number for you. I know I said that really fast, didn't I? I'm practiced. I've been doing that same number for how long? 15 years. 8888 Ask Leo. Oh, or if you prefer it all with numbers, 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, you can still reach me, but you've got to use, Skype out or something like that. Should be toll free. 8888 Ask Leo. We can talk about anything on your mind. I don't know what's on your mind these days. Anything that's occupying your attention will be fit, as long as it has to do with tech, kind of even peripherally. They finally announced, kind of sad, actually, that due to this virus, the novel coronavirus, the big South by Southwest conference is going to be canceled. Mm-hmm. That's a big deal conference, South by, as we aficionados call it. South by is something like 13 days. It's 4 different festivals. It's comedy, it's music, it's film, and it's interactive. That's the computer part. And really, it was the city of Boston that said, we just really shouldn't be doing this. Thousands of people come to this event from all over the world. There's the problem. Therein lies the problem. Already, we knew that a lot of companies, Facebook and Twitter, weren't going to go. Twitter's told its employees, as has Microsoft and Google and many others, no inessential travel. It's funny because those people who work there tend to be younger, right, at these tech firms. And it's really us old folks that have to worry. So, but why take a chance, I guess? Why take a chance? And what you don't want to be, even if you're young and it's not going to harm you, but you don't want to be a carrier. You don't want to bring it to South by Southwest and give it to other people, so that's no good. Get ready because Congress in the U.S. and legislatures and assemblies around the world are starting to pass bills or look at bills that will break encryption. How do you feel about encryption? I think on the surface, you say to people, and I think this is what members of Congress are saying, well, why should a bad guy have the ability to hide his activities from the police? We should be able to wiretap any phone. And since we can wiretap any phone, we should be able to wiretap Skype, even though it's encrypted. And why shouldn't we be able to read into their text messaging or even unlock their phone? This is a new bill that it's the Graham-Blumenthal bill, so it's bipartisan. The Graham-Blumenthal bill is called, get ready for this, the Earn It Act. Apparently in Congress, it has to do with marketing, I guess. You got to have a good acronym. So this stands for the Eliminating Abusive and Rampant Neglect of Interactive Technologies Act. It doesn't tell you anything about what it really does. What it's going to do, it will essentially block encryption. And by blocking encryption, and of course they always use terrorism, and now the big one is crimes against children. You know, that's the big one. There'll be a commission formed by this Earn It Act, a commission of 15 people who will establish a list of best practices in the name of protecting the children. The commission will be dominated by law enforcement agencies. The first 3 members chosen by the heads of the Department of Justice, Homeland Security, and the Federal Trade Commission, 2 of whom have law enforcement responsibilities. As you know, the remaining 12 members will be chosen by Congress with specific roles. 2 of them shall have experience in handling internet crimes against children in a law enforcement capacity. 2 of them shall have experience in handling internet crimes against children in a prosecutorial capacity. 2 of them shall have experience in computer science or software engineering. Out of 15, 2. Finally, 4 of them will have experience working for online services, but must have experience in child safety. So the best practices, well, they don't say, but it's presumed the best practices, if you want to protect the kids, will be don't encrypt. Don't encrypt. It's funny because there's a law, in fact, just passed in Sweden, a secret surveillance law that allows law enforcement to secretly install malicious hardware or software on any electronic device. You don't even need a warrant. You just need suspicion that somebody's doing something wrong. And you could put this software on computers, smartphones, routers, hi-fi receivers, refrigerators, smart home assistants. The law goes into effect April Fool's Day. It's a secret surveillance law. The lagradremis. Any device in any place a suspect, get ready for this, may visit. You know, this guy, he's a bad guy. I know he is. He's going to that restaurant. Let's put cameras, surveillance devices in the restaurant. Hello, Sweden. Wow. That is scary. But it's going to be I think in the next 10 years it's going to be the laws of every land, including ours. Now, you might say, well, yeah, okay, encrypt messages from bad guys, decrypt them. That's important. We want to be able to wiretap them. The problem is these tools mean that you'll no longer have privacy at all because you'll never be able to use encryption again. There's no such thing as encryption that is breakable, that is tappable. That's not encryption. That's the, in fact, it's worse than that. It's the appearance of privacy without the actual reality of it. So I thought I'd mention it. It's happened in Russia, Australia, now Sweden, soon here in the U.S. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the new iPhone. We have a rumor, a pretty good rumor, I think, that the new iPhone, a $400 phone, a successor to the iPhone SE2, will be announced at the end of the month, March 31st. But already Apple's saying, well, some of the things we're going to announce this spring won't be available till later this year, and maybe that will be one of them. The people who make the phone, Foxconn, say they're going to get back to normal this month. Of course, the coronavirus shut down a lot of those factories. Apple already, in some stores, out of iPhones. Have you gone to an Apple store to try to get an iPhone? Apparently out of iPhones. So this is something we've got to watch out for. And you want to have an iPhone in case you get quarantined. You might want to get an iPad and make sure your internet's all fired up, and then have lots of beans and rice available in case you get quarantined. You want the entertainment, you know. 8888 Ask Leo, my phone number if you have a question, a comment, a suggestion. Let's talk high-tech, you and me. Okay? Okay. And I guess since South by Southwest isn't happening, we can have our own little interactive conference right here. 8888 Ask Leo, that's the phone number. 888-827-5536. The website where we put everything I mention, we'll put links to all the articles I've been referring to, too, is techguylabs.com. No sign up, it's free. It's the miracle of Kim Schaffer. Females as strong as heck. Schaffer. Hello, Kim Schaffer, unbreakable phone angel.
Good morning.
I think they broke you.
Put a frog in my throat.
Hello. Kim is great. Kim is my firewall. She's my router. She sits in between me and the outside world.
Yep.
Thank goodness she's unbreakable. How are you feeling? Feeling good?
Well,
No dry cough? No fever? No. Stay over there.
From the time change. You know.
Oh, yeah.
I lost an hour.
Oh, my goodness. That's
we lost
right.
an hour and you were here an hour early. Go figure. How does that work?
Yeah, I shouldn't be here for another hour. I forgot about that. Well, okay. Okay, yeah, that's true. But and I am tired. Maybe that's why I'm tired. I didn't sleep as long as I would normally.
Nope.
Sun
Not at all.
sun didn't change. It comes up at the same time. Just the clock changes.
Really?
I don't understand
I don't
it.
think so.
I don't understand it. You know, I don't get how it works. I'm not going to go on my yearly rampage, actually twice yearly rampage about
how
this.
stupid it is.
That's just a bad idea. And tomorrow, more people will have heart attacks. There'll be more car accidents because of this. And I don't know why we do it, but there it is.
But not in Arizona and Hawaii.
Yeah, man, it
They
must
get
be
to
nice.
stay the same.
Must be nice. Who should I talk to?
How about a fellow podcaster, Joe in Ontario?
How did you know I'm a podcaster? Can you tell just by looking at me? Can you say, oh, he looks like a podcaster? He's very good looking and snappy dresser.
Face
No.
made for radio.
Yeah, that's exactly how you know. Doesn't look like he's been out of grandma's basement for the last 40 years. Hello, Joe. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, Kim. Hey, Joe.
Hey, Leo.
Fellow podcaster, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing really good. I've been watching and listening to you since the Screensaver days, and this is my first time actually calling in. So this is
Thank you.
Cool.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, you too. Now, the question is, I'm sure they tell you guys run into this on a regular basis. Now, my question is, getting in contact with my co-hosts, is there a good alternative to Skype or Hangouts that doesn't have issues?
They all have issues. So, like many podcasters, like us as well, you bring in some of your contributors on the show via the internet. And are you doing video too or just audio?
Well, we do video so that I can see my co-hosts. I find it easier to have a conversation.
Yes, that's true.
That way, but I only record audio.
You know, we do. I mean, and it's crazy, but it works pretty well. We actually have a big round table for our news shows, like you would have on TV, except that the people aren't sitting at the table. We put TV monitors in the places the seats would be, and it's so kind of weird, but it's like I'm surrounded by people and I can look at them when I talk to them. So yeah, there's an advantage to using video. We still use Skype. I've tried everything. Hangouts, no. Part of the reason we use Skype is I like the audio codec, compressor, decompressor that Skype uses. It gives, I think it gives the best audio quality. But like any internet calling technology, there are problems. There's latency, which means delay. So you see that on the news, too, when they do the satellite calls. Our correspondent is in Rome. Jim? 2, 3, 4. Hi, Becky. So that's latency, and that's a problem on Skype, too. We have other issues. If you use video, sometimes lip sync is an issue, because Skype doesn't have any way of matching audio to video. But if you're not broadcasting the video, if it's just an audio podcast, that's just you. It's, you know, nobody at home is going to notice. And then Skype sometimes, and any internet solution will do this, drops packets because all the data is coming over the internet in chunks, packets. And, you know, if you're doing this in real time, which you are, because you're talking, they're talking, you're talking, they're talking, the packets have to arrive in a timely fashion and in order. And the internet's not designed to do that. The internet's designed to just get those packets over there because it's, you know, with web or email, it doesn't matter if they come out of order. We reassemble them. And if they don't come in a timely fashion, I'll wait. No big deal. In fact, the internet has all sorts of things set up to say, did you get that one? Okay, here's the next one. Sin and act and all that stuff. So the internet really wasn't designed to do what you're doing, what we're doing, which is real-time audio and video. Skype seems to handle it the best because they have a proprietary compression-decompression algorithm or codec that I think gives you the best quality. Hangouts, I don't know, I find Hangouts a problem with all of those things, worse than Skype. There's other things like Jitsi, Jitsi. It's a video conferencing. A number of people say they like that. Open source stuff, in my opinion, is the open source codecs are not as good as the secret proprietary codec that Skype uses. The hot thing right now is something called WebRTC. I think Hangouts might even be using this because Google invented it. It's a real RTC stands for real-time communications. It's a technology that lets any browser share audio with any other browser. It's a really clever technology, especially because you don't need a special program to do it. You can just use your browser to do it. But I also find it has all of the above. You know what we do? We still use Skype. We do a lot of it on our Twit network. That's my podcast network. And TWIT. It sounds silly, but it stands for This Week in Tech. I know it sounds silly. But we do a lot of Skype, and basically what we find is, there's some tricks. One is good bandwidth on both ends, especially the caller's end. And that's a problem because you can't guarantee that with all your hosts, right? Good microphones help. Yeah, good audio helps. And then what we really find makes a difference is don't be running anything else on that computer, the Skype computer. That means especially no Chrome. Chrome is a big pig. Big pig. So, stay away from anything in the background. We'll tell our hosts, don't be getting your email or downloading stuff. Don't even open your web browser. And if you do, make sure it ain't Chrome. And then so sometimes we'll even say you want to reboot your computer right before the show, so you got everything turned off. Don't let anything start up. And you get a clean boot. That's going to give you better, conditions. Make sure no one in the house is on the internet either. You want it all to yourself. Send the kids out. Don't let them be watching YouTube. All of that helps. But we still have problems, and if you ever tune in our shows early, you can watch and listen to me fuss with it until I get it all working. But generally, we find if you have enough bandwidth, a good microphone, and you don't have anything running in the background, Skype is the best choice. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. A lot of companies use Zoom, but I think that's more because Zoom has other features that business meetings like. I don't find its audio particularly better. It's pretty good. It's not free either. Skype's free.
What I find that happens a lot is that I end up telling my co-hosts or the people that are calling or being part of the show to basically switch their video off because things just get so bogged down. That's right. And I use Safari if I absolutely have to because I have an iMac that is my computer that I use. And but a lot of times I'll just have Notepad open with my show notes, and then that just keeps it as simple as possible. Yep. So,
and you're absolutely right. Turning off video helps a lot because, they're devoting some of that bandwidth. So I think the reason I like Skype, Skype doesn't have any artificial limit. It will use all the bandwidth available to it. And so if you've got, and most people nowadays have a lot, it's up to the upstream bandwidth, remember, for them. So, but most people nowadays have enough 3 or 4 megabits per second to really do a good quality audio. Maybe not video, but a good quality audio.
The only catch with just doing audio then is people end up kind of speaking over each other, and it's a lot harder when you can't see the people that you're talking to, and then it happens every time. But I appreciate the tips. So
what's the name of your podcast?
We do a mixture of things. We have a podcast network, and we do a mixture. It's a bit of an eclectic mix. We do professional wrestling, sports, and I'm the host of a tech show called HTM Tech, and I also produce a number of the shows on the network as well.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Are you having fun doing it? Is it a full-time gig for you?
It's not a full-time yet. Right now, it's a labor of love. I think you can relate to that. So
yeah, I do. And you're on Podbean. Is that right?
Yes, I am. Yeah.
Nice. Well, how do you like Podbean?
It's been really good. And what I will say for anybody who's looking to get into it, they're a good platform. Their support Leo, is fantastic. Whenever you call them with any kind of issue you have, there's always somebody there and always somebody to help.
Nice.
And that's one thing that's been really, really good. And everything migrates over to iTunes.
Are they expensive?
Up over there. No, for an unlimited basic plan like we use, it's $20 a month.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's really great.
Yep.
So you're using what? You're using Hangouts, or what are you using?
Right now we're using Skype.
Yeah, I wish there was something better. I understand because it's a lot. There's a lot of pain.
As long as I only have one person on the other end, it's not too bad. When we start getting into like the 2 and 3.
So that's another trick.
It's clogged up.
That's another trick. One of the first things we did is have a separate computer for each Skype channel.
Interesting.
Because that's exactly right. If you get too many voices on there. For a long time, I did the shows just as you describe it. I had one Skype at a conference call. But the problem is, especially if somebody has a bad connection or is noisy, you want to be able to mix them out. So you need separate channels for every voice. And there are some tools that'll do that. Not with Skype, but with other programs. But what we ended up doing is building what we called Skypeosaurus, which was a bunch of computers. Now we use Skype. Actually, we still are using a bunch of computers, but eventually we're going to move to Skype. I think they call it TX, which is a different solution. But I think, honestly, that might be the biggest thing is, because it works all right with one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. If you had... Now, it becomes much more complicated because now you got a mixer and you got to feed mix minus to each computer. It gets very complicated. It's no fun. And I've been there. Thank God it was years ago. And now I have people who have to tear their hair out instead.
Awesome.
Good luck. Is there a website for your thing? Is it
Yeah, absolutely. The website for our podcast is hittingthemarks.podbean.com, or even if you just type hittingthemarks.com, you'll find us there with
nice
shows basically coming out pretty much every single day. We've got content going up there.
Wow. Good luck. It's time to talk automobiles with Sam Abul-Samad, our principal researcher at Navigant Research and our car guru. Hello, Sam Abul-Samad.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
Watch. I'm going to show you how much car knowledge I have. You're sitting in front of a sled.
Yeah, very close to that.
Oh, shoot. I got it wrong, huh?
Well, I mean, I assume you're referring to something like a skateboard, like an electric skateboard?
Skateboard, not a sled, a skateboard. Yes. Dang it.
Yes. Well, and actually, what's behind me is an image from the EV Day that General Motors had at their technical center this week, and they gave us their first real insights into what they're calling their BEV3 platform, their battery electric vehicle Generation 3 platform.
It's funny because didn't GM really start all this many years ago with EV1?
They did, and in fact, EV1 is what they call BEV1, and the Bolt is BEV2, and so BEV3 is their next generation electric propulsion architecture.
It's a very sad story. In fact, there's a documentary, Who Killed the Electric Car, all about the General Motors electric vehicle from, it's almost 20 years, it must be 20 years ago now.
Came out in 2006, I think.
Okay, 15 years ago.
14, 15 years, yeah.
It's a sad story, but you know what? The times weren't right, and I think they are now. And by the way, we drive a Bolt. I love my BevMo 2 or whatever it's called. What's 3 going to be?
So 3 is the first iteration of this where GM has they feel that they've really designed a system that can really take the technology mainstream and more importantly, as a business, can be profitable. Up until now, all of the EVs they've sold and that most manufacturers have sold, in fact, pretty much all manufacturers have sold, have been money-losing propositions or at best break even. And what GM has done is they've taken everything they've learned and everything they've been able to find everywhere and design a next generation electric propulsion architecture. And the reason why I said close when you said for skateboard is unlike say something like the Rivian skateboard chassis that we've talked about and some others. This is a system that you can mix and match a lot of different components, and it's not a specific vehicle platform, but rather an electric drive toolkit, if you will. And so one of the things they talked about was their new battery system. Most of the EVs on the road today use a lithium-ion. There's a bunch of different lithium-ion chemistries. So mainly the cathode chemistry in the battery is comprised of some different materials. And most of them on the road today are what we call NMC. So it's a mix of nickel, manganese, and cobalt. And
is that the key to making this affordable and popular? Is a better battery technology?
Yeah, absolutely, because batteries are the single most important, or most important, but also the most expensive component in an electric vehicle. And 90% of the cost of the cell is in the raw materials. Most of that is those those materials that coat the electrodes. And so for an NMC cell, the most problematic one is that cobalt, both because it's expensive and also because of where it's produced.
Yeah,
where
the
it's
mining of cobalt is often done by kids in very poor circumstances.
A lot of it comes from Central Africa.
Yeah,
and so it's very problematic. And so manufacturers have been trying to find ways to reduce or eliminate the cobalt content in their batteries. And so what GM's got in what they're calling their Ultium battery, don't ask where the name came from. It's
I don't have to.
Yeah,
some marketing executive's fever dream.
Yeah, or they probably paid somebody way too much, some agency way too much money to come up with this name. Anyway, the core of this is a new chemistry they developed in conjunction with their partners at LG Chem called NMCA. So it still has nickel and manganese, but they've reduced the cobalt content by 70%, and they've added in aluminum. And so they're claiming that this has both better performance than their existing NMC batteries, and it significantly reduces the cost. So the NMC battery cells in the Bolt today cost about $145 per kilowatt hour. In the NMCA cells, they brought that down. They're claiming down to under $100 per kilowatt hour.
Wow.
And then the other things that they've done is the pack design. So once you've got the cells, you've got to assemble it into a pack, a battery pack that goes into the vehicle. And so they've got a pack design that is they've done some really interesting things with, like integrating the battery management system into each module, which will allow them to potentially over time actually mix different chemistries, modules with different chemistries in the same pack, which will make it easier for servicing over the long haul, but also for reusing those modules once it's no longer useful in the car, for doing things like Second Life stationary storage applications. So you can take a pack out of a car, take the modules, and put them into a rack and create a stationary storage application.
Oh, I like that, because I want a whole home battery for when the power goes out. That'd be one of the applications, I presume.
Yeah, that's one way it could be used, or for just general for grid backup, or for charging stations, for EV charging stations, for fast charging. They increasingly are using big battery packs to supplement, so they're not drawing all the power at once from the grid, but they slower charge this big battery pack. And this is what Electrify America does. Supercharger stations, a lot of them have this. They'll have a big battery pack there that charges slower, and then when you have that burst of power that you need to charge the vehicles, it comes out of the battery instead of right from the grid.
Neato.
Yeah.
Super cool.
Yeah. And then they've also got new motors and other stuff as well.
When are we going to start seeing this stuff, though? I mean,
coming out next year. So they showed us 12 different vehicles that are using this technology. They already showed one in January, the Cruise Origin that we talked about previously. Their purpose-built autonomous vehicle uses this technology. And then the next one that you'll see publicly, so we saw a bunch of stuff that we can't show images of yet. But you'll see one unveiled next month, the Cadillac Lyriq, which is their midsize SUV or crossover that is based on this. We also saw the Hummer EV that we talked about. That'll be shown publicly in May. And then there's a bunch of other ones, couple of Buick crossovers, There's also a couple of other Cadillacs, Chevrolet crossover. So there's a bunch of stuff coming from GM. They've promised 20 EVs between now and 2023.
Wow. Are they doing this for regulatory reasons because they have to get emissions down, or do they really think there's a market for this? Or are they just trying to be good corporate citizens?
Some of all of that, certainly, the regulatory reasons are a big part of it, but they're increasingly seeing a market there. And part of why they've been working on this technology is to try to make a viable market out of it, a viable business out of it.
Well, they've got to look with interest at Elon and Tesla and what they're doing. And in a way, they're all playing catch up to Tesla, which has been a rocky road, but at least their stock price has gone up quite a bit. They're getting those things cranked out.
Oh, yeah.
Sam Abul-Samad, he is a principal researcher at Navigant Research. And if you love car talking, you'll love his podcast, Wheel Bearings, at wheelbearings.media. We'll talk again next week, Sammy.
All right.
You probably hate it when I call you Sammy.
That's all right. Looks like there's a note from Kim in the chat about a call that might be able to help us.
Okay, you want to hang on?
I can certainly do that.
Good. Be with you in a moment. How's Trix in beautiful Detroit? How's things going?
It's 56 degrees out right now, on its way to a high of 59 today.
Spring
sunny,
is sprung
beautiful.
In the Motor City.
Doing some yard work.
That's great.
Unfortunately, I won't be coming out there in a couple of weeks. NVIDIA GTC is one of the many conferences that was canceled.
Yeah.
But I did manage to get an e-tron scheduled here, so I will go out, have my wife help. We'll shoot a bunch of footage, and we'll send it over to you guys.
That'd
and
be
you can
great.
Cut it together.
Yeah, that'd be really great. Thank you. Yeah, it's kind of depressing, isn't it? And besides, you don't want to get on a plane. Stay home.
Yep.
Yeah,
I know. Also, the last caller that you had who was asking about means of podcasting other than Skype, a few weeks ago we started using Zencastr for wheel bearings, which actually works
good things
really well.
about Zencastr. I should try it.
Yeah, it records each caller, each participant locally, and then uploads the audio file to the server. And then you can, and it saves each one as each person as a separate audio track, and you can, depending on what if you're using a free account, you can just download the files from there and edit them locally.
Oh, it's nice
because it's editing capabilities online.
It's a double ender, so you get excellent quality. Nice.
And it makes it a lot easier if you've got guests because you don't have to mess around with getting them on Skype and getting them set up to record their end locally.
Right.
You just send them a link to the Zencastr link, and it logs them into your show, and all they have to have is the mic and be ready, and they're ready to go.
Well, I wonder if we should start
really well.
doing that. The only thing about double enders is it slows us down because then they'd have to upload their audio, and it doesn't do video, does it?
No, it doesn't do video.
Yeah. But we could still.
But for a show like ours, it works really well.
Oh,
We've got 3 of us in different locations, and works really well so far.
Let's we'll mention that. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 88. Ask Leo. Online right now, Tony from West Palm Beach, California. Hi, Tony. Oh, I got to push your button. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Tony. I forgot to push your button.
Hey, Leo.
That's better.
It's West Palm Beach, Florida.
Yeah, I don't know why it says CA there. Of course it's Florida.
I like California, too, so that's fine.
Florida, of course. Yeah, I don't think we invented Palm Beach out here yet.
I get cracky.
Yeah?
I've got a cold, a flu. Even a flu shot last October.
Uh-oh.
My ex said it's not the coronavirus, so we're good.
Because I'm worried. I put my mask on when I heard that.
I'm a TiVo guy. I hope you weren't too annoyed by my emails and stuff.
No, thank you, Tony. You've been greatly helpful. Thank you.
I tried.
I know who you are now. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what can we...
Tech. Yeah. So I got a question for Sam. Thank you, Sam, for hanging on.
Oh, yeah, he's still here.
Kim.
Yeah.
And thank you, Kim, for sending him a chat message. That was very nice of you guys. Very, very, very happy.
No problem.
We like to spread the expertise
You're doing it. You get it done.
much as we can.
You get it done.
So what's your question for Sam?
Okay, so I've got an older Toyota pickup truck. I drive a 1994 Toyota pickup truck, a Dexter cab. I love it. I've had it since '96, and I'm getting ready to change the tires after about 6 years for the third time because I've had it for so long. And I need to know what, if Sam knows, what can he recommend for internal battery with valve stem TPMS monitoring system.
Ooh, you want to add a tire pressure monitor to your vehicle when you replace the tires? That's a good question.
I'm going back. I'm going back to H-rated Michelin's. And
we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. What a great thing it is that more modern cars, all modern cars now have tire pressure sensors, because for safety reasons, that's really important.
You know what? That started with the Firestone steel belts radial problem where they waited too long and the steel belts rusted. And it was a bunch of cars with poor suspensions that flipped over because the tires blew up. It was like the Ford Explorer.
Yeah, it was the Explorer, and actually the problem there was only partly from Firestone. It was also partly from Ford in that case.
I know.
They had a handling issue, and in order to fix that, they actually recommended a tire inflation pressure that was too low that helped fix the Explorer issue, but then the tires would wear out prematurely and blow out and make the vehicle flip.
Good thing. This is one time I could say good thing Congress got involved.
Yeah. Well, a lot of car safety these days is much better than it used to be. Far fewer deaths on the road, and a lot of that is because of things like seatbelt laws and other things. So, are there third-party tire pressure monitoring systems, Sam?
There are systems that you can add, and I'm just looking at TireRack.com. And if you go on there, I will drop the link in the chat. And so there are some third-party tire TPMS systems.
AC Delco makes one. Tire Minder's another one.
So what they'll do is when you get this installed, you can order this, and your tire shop can install this when you put it in, when you have your tires installed. Yeah. Oh, okay. So it might be a little complicated. I haven't done this.
Tony's good. Tony's a tech. Tony knows what he's doing.
Okay. 3 times certified master. Just saying.
He's a master mechanic.
Well, there you go. Yeah. The sensors that go in the tires look like they're about $35 each.
Correct.
And you can. There's one system here that's got the display that goes inside the vehicle for $99. Looks like there's also
no object. I want something that is going to work for a while, and I know it's an add-on display. That's fine. I'll put it in my glove box. But I want your recommendation if you know about this kind of thing, Sam. We really appreciate your recommendation because I've been looking on Amazon. I've been looking everywhere, and it's all this unknown named Chinese stuff.
Yeah. And to be honest, that's where most of it's going to come from. It's going to come from China. But tell you, I haven't really looked much at the aftermarket systems, but I will take a look around and see what I can find.
I'll email you, and I'll just drop you an email if you when you get. I know you're a busy guy, but when you have some time, maybe you can look for me, please.
Yeah, if you go to my podcast site, wheelbearings.media, there's a contact link on there.
That'd be a good subject for wheel bearings, actually.
Yeah, we'll discuss that on there, and we can discuss it here as well. So go to wheelbearings.media. Shoot me an email from there, and I will follow up and find out which systems are good and get back to you, and we'll
Thanks,
let
Tony.
Leo know. We'll put it on the.
I hope you feel better soon, Tony.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I'm on the downside. I've had it for about a week now.
I hate that feeling.
And I'm getting personal care from my ex, who's a. He's a ER nurse at JFK Hospital. So
good.
Personal care.
All right. Well, I don't want to know any more about that. I'm glad to hear it, though. That's great. That's great, Tony. We'll talk again soon. Hey, you mentioned something, Santa, as long as we're talking about podcasting, that our last caller might appreciate. Something you use on wheel bearings is called Zencastr.
Yeah, we started using it a few episodes ago. We had been using Skype like you guys use, and doing what's known in the industry as double enders. All of us would record our audio locally and then upload it into a Dropbox. And then Dan, one of my co-hosts, he edits the show together. He would take those and put it together, and we post the show. We started using a site called Zencastr that basically automates that process, and you set up an account on there. You can get a free account. It's audio only, so no video. But each of the you start a show and send a link to each of the participants. They log in. It gets you all in there, and it records your audio locally, just like we would with Skype, and it automatically uploads it to the website. And if you have a paid account, you can do editing right in the browser, or you can just download the individual audio file. So it keeps a separate audio for each track, each participant.
That's
and
nice.
Then you can edit it all together.
A lot easier than setting up a Skypeosaurus as we've done. So
yeah, absolutely.
Zencastr is ZENCASTR.
Yes.
Com. And Sam is at wheelbearings.media, and thank you for sticking around a little extra to help Tony out with his tire pressure.
Happy to assist.
That's a sad story, the rusted Firestone rusted belts. Jeez Louise.
Yeah, I mean, things like that happen sometimes, especially with stuff that's been on the road for a long time.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have that, in general, if you have a really old car that doesn't get driven very much, check your tires periodically.
Yeah.
Make sure they're still in good shape, because the rubber will harden and decay. It'll start to crack. And really old tires are not safe. So you should replace them if they're too old.
Words of wisdom from Sam Abel Samad, our tire guy, as well as our car guy. Thank you, Sam.
No problem, Leo.
I just made him our tire guy. I didn't even know we had a tire guy. Scooter X in our chat room did post a number of review sites. And, the problem with review sites, carbibles.com, Auto Guide, and Sam put a link to Tire Rack up, is you just don't, especially cars. Are these guys reliable? Are they in the pockets of one manufacturer or another? But we'll put all of those links up on our show notes. They'll help you, Tony, try to at least sort through. And Tony mentioned he's looking on Amazon. I think Amazon reviews are actually very useful as long as you know how to read them. I always kind of throw out, you look at them, you can tell right away. Some of them are negative for a lot of reasons. A competitor or just somebody just doesn't like anything. Throw those out. Sometimes they're too positive because it's from the manufacturer. Throw those out. And I think usually those Amazon reviews are, in fact, I think the best way to judge technology. Our website, techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk of computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches. My phone is 8888. Ask Leo if you want to call in, make a comment, make a suggestion. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We have a website where everything we talk about goes, even audio and video from the show after the fact, techguylabs.com. Just being sent this link, came out on Friday. A major new Intel processor flaw could defeat encryption and DRM protection. Security researchers, according to The Verge, are warning of a major new security flaw inside Intel processors. Those processors are in pretty much every laptop and desktop computer there is. Not your phone, fortunately. It could defeat hardware-based encryption and DRM protections. It exists at the hardware level of modern Intel processors. I'm just reading this myself for the first time. Released in the last 5 years. And it would be possible to allow attackers to create special malware that runs at the hardware level and is undetectable by antiviruses. The good news is the latest processors, the 10th generation processors, are not vulnerable. But earlier processors are, and the security firm that discovered it, Positive Technologies, and their researcher Mark Ermolov say, this vulnerability, quote, this, and probably it looks like this vulnerability jeopardizes everything Intel has done to build the root of trust. And it's not fixable. You know, it's not the first time we've seen a flaw in Intel's management engine. In this case, it's in their Converged Security Management Engine, CSME. Nice. The problem is, says Ermolov, not only is it impossible to fix hardware and firmware errors that are hard-coded in the mask ROM of microprocessors and chipsets, the larger worry, I hope you talk like that, Mark, the larger worry is that because this vulnerability allows a compromise at hardware level, it destroys the chain of trust for the platform as a whole. Ay, 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 he says. No, he didn't say that. I said that. I'll just pass it along. I don't know what you do about it, you know. This is not the first Intel flaw. In fact, I've lost count. But the real question is how hard this will be to take advantage of. And Intel will do something, I'm sure, to mitigate it. CVE 2019 /90 if you want to follow along at home. On we go to the show. Steve in San Clemente, California. Hello, Steve. Leo Laporte.
Hey, can you hear me okay?
I hear you great, Steve. Thanks.
This is quite simple compared to
whatever that was complicated, yes.
Anyways, I have the Workforce printer, the 30, what is that thing?
3640.
Yeah, it's a 3640.
Who's that? Is that your wife in there?
Oh, yes. We've been married 38 years, so we pretty much do everything all together.
I love that. That's so cute. That's great.
And
I hear her laughing. What's your wife's name?
I listen to you every weekend.
Oh, thank you. What's your wife's name, Steve?
Her name is Sandy.
Hi, Sandy.
Hi, Leo. Good to talk to you.
So you got your printer, and what's going on with it?
Okay, so she was listening to your show a number of years ago, and you'd recommended the Epson, and this is kind of the all-in-one thing. It does everything.
Yeah, I love those. Our fine sponsor, yep.
So what happened is over the last, I'd say, year or 6 months, it's been printing lighter and lighter and lighter.
Oh, that's not good.
And then there's lines that will be totally blurred out, so you can't read them. So I haven't been able to use the printer for important things.
The heads are clogged. Yeah.
So I didn't know if the heads were clogged.
Oh yeah.
I'm not techno savvy, so I looked on YouTube, and they have a bunch of these people that go on there, and this is how you unclog your heads and whatnot. So I worked on that most of the day yesterday.
What did you do?
Well, I
you didn't use a hammer or anything.
No.
Oh, good.
No.
You use the printer has its built-in head cleaning, unclogging routines and alignment.
I learned about that yesterday.
Yeah. So you did all of those.
And I did all those, and it still wasn't working. So then moved that little carriage over and took out all those ink fillers. And then down at the bottom, they have those they kind of look like little spikes.
Yeah, they go into the cartridge. Yeah.
Yeah. So I got some cleaning solution.
Uh-oh.
And the cleaning solution you can either buy commercial or a lot of these.
And this was something you saw on YouTube?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So take that.
Did you ever call Epson about it? Because they probably have some information they could impart. I don't know if putting cleaning solution through the heads is a good idea. What happened?
Oh, so then I did everything, and then, of course, when I went to print, it wouldn't print anything. So
At all? It stopped printing entirely. Yeah.
I obviously broke the thing, and I'm going to need a new printer.
Oh, man, I'm sorry. Printers are the worst. I got to tell you, printers are the worst. And you said this is, much less complicated. When you call an IT department, they're praying as they go to pick up the phone, please don't make it be about the printer. Please don't make it be about the printer. It's a common problem. Let's put it that way. So I would still call Epson. It's possible they have a replacement head assembly for that. Might be cheaper than buying a printer if you really like that printer. I like those Workforces. I really like them. But
that's a great suggestion.
Yeah, but you may be able to. I mean, you can get a new printer. You've had it for a while.
Yeah.
So you might want to look at a new printer too. And those Epsons, I'm still an Epson fan. You know, I mean, the problem with all inkjets is if they're not used regularly, this happens. The heads clog. And
that's exactly, I think, the origin of.
Yeah, the ink dries out, and
yeah,
you know, they do a lot of things to kind of prevent that, but ultimately you usually have to go through a thorough nozzle cleaning. Sometimes on these printers, if you do a nozzle cleaning more than a couple of 3 times, it'll say, "Oh, I see you've done this 4 times in a row. Let's do a thorough cleaning," and then they go through. The problem with these, especially on inkjet, you know, where you're using the cartridges, is you can run through cartridges pretty quick with these nozzle cleanings. I don't know if you've ever opened an ink cartridge, but it's not full of ink. It's full of spongy material that holds a little bit of ink. So you can get through those, as you probably already experienced, you can get through those pretty quickly. I would still call Epson and say, look, here's what happened. Be honest with them, and then maybe they have a replacement head assembly. Otherwise, look at another printer. And if you don't print a lot, I like laser printers for people who don't have a lot of printing, because they don't do color very well. Their color's a little washed out. They do what they call business color, which means it's fine for a graph, not for printing a photo. But if you're mostly doing black and white printing, a laser printer for light duty is always going to do a better job, I think.
Okay, that's great information.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Sandy.
Oh, thank you so much, Leo. I have one question.
Yes.
When we got this Epson printer, everything, all the instructions were inside the printer. It wasn't like having a booklet.
Right.
So we don't have any.
Look online.
With the phone number.
Online. Just go to Epson.com. They'll have all the contact information. They have very good tech support people.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Oh, it's great to talk to you.
You're helping my husband.
Oh, and you too. Thank you, Sandy. Have a great day. The couple that fixes the printer together stays together. That's the secret to a long, happy marriage. Actually, it's probably the exact opposite, right? What are you doing? Your brain. I told you not. In fact, stay away from the printer, both of you. Get the professionals in there. I think this daylight saving time thing is dangerous. Last break, I almost took my eye out with my headphones. They sprang back and hit me in the head, and I just almost fell off my chair a second ago. Well, I lost an hour's sleep, and man, they do say that on the Monday following the change of the clocks, there are more car accidents, statistically significantly more car accidents and more heart attacks. But there is something that I can be thankful for. Did you have to set clocks today? Your phone, your TV, everything seems, even my toaster oven knew what time it was. And I like to buy the clocks that set themselves automatically. Instead of, though, doing the ones, the so-called atomic clocks or the radio clocks, I now buy clocks that are Amazon clocks. And so they get the time from the internet, from Amazon. It does a better job. So I got up and everything was on time, except my body, which apparently is not digital. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, coming up in just a little bit. Neil in New Mexico. Hello, Neil.
Hey, Leo.
Thanks for calling.
I've been following your advice since 2004.
Wow. That's great. Thank you.
I bought a Sony Vaio 10-inch screen laptop.
10 inches? That's tiny.
And it was running XP
wow.
out of the box.
Yep.
And the QWERTY keyboard slightly scaled down smaller, but the portability of this machine has been fabulous. And I've been following your advice, and it's still running.
Wow.
Still running XP, and it's perfect. So I've been following your advice about upgrading my other laptops to Windows 10 from 7.
How's that worked for you?
Perfect.
Good.
But the processor on this Sony Vaio is a 32-bit, and I was thinking that maybe you had an idea that I could upgrade this 32-bit machine to Windows 10. Is that possible?
It's not going to be the 32-bit, probably. It's more likely the lack of RAM or just a slow processor. I mean, how much RAM does that have?
Gee, I never looked.
You never had to. Here's the deal. When you download Windows 10, you can choose 32-bit. That's not going to be a problem.
Oh,
It's not the bit, but the problem is that is a pretty darn old machine. That you must have bought that in 2004.
Yes, I did, and I put an SSD in it. I had to replace the keyboard, the battery, and at one point I had to recover from a boot disc and a DVD, and all of a sudden it came back like it just came from the factory.
Yeah, well, of course, you reinstall everything. Yeah, in fact, I just read an article, and I think it's really true, that said you should reset all your computer devices, your PCs, your laptops, every year, start from scratch, factories fresh, because that, over the time, as you use it, you definitely cruft it up, and it slows it down and all of that. I would say give it a try. The nice thing about Windows 10 is you can roll it back. Once you install Windows 10, I don't know if you noticed this, but there's a menu entry that says, go back, I don't like it. So you'll always be able to roll it back. My big concern is not 32-bit. That's not the issue. It's the lack of RAM. I bet you that thing has maybe 2 gigs of RAM, which is a little lightweight these days.
I'm wondering if that machine can be added RAM to.
Yeah, maybe. The other problem is drivers. As you get older and older on the machine, the hardware gets more and more antiquated. It's not going to wear out, as you've discovered. But, you know, at some point, they're going to stop putting drivers in Windows 10 that handle the keyboard, mouse, monitor, and all that stuff. I think it's worth trying. I wish there were, you know, with Linux. One of the nice things about Linux is you can make a USB key that you boot to and just run it and see if everything works before you install it. You can't do that with Windows 10, unfortunately, but you could install it and then roll it back. I honestly. I think you're running a little risk on here that you might get that machine to a point where it's just not working. Did you save the old hard drive?
No.
No. Okay. Because then you could put it on. You know, and the truth is, a replacement hard drive is not that expensive. You could put it on that old hard drive and see if it works. You know, it's worth a try. Give it a shot. I can't promise it'll work. There are definitely concerns, but the good news is not the 32-bit processor. That's not the issue. It should run just fine on that processor. It's amount of memory and drivers. And at some point, you know, it's too bad because these things don't wear out, but technology surpasses them. And I don't know if anybody still makes 10-inch laptops.
So would you suggest that I burn a DVD? It's got an optical drive.
Yeah, yeah, because it probably won't boot to a USB drive. It's too old.
That's right.
Yeah, so you can download. At least you don't have to pay for Windows 10. I wouldn't put a lot more money into that machine. Let's put it that way. So you can download Windows 10 and burn it to a DVD, boot to the DVD. If it can run. You know, the installer, maybe you're all right. Maybe you're good to go. I don't know.
Well, gee, if I'm successful, I'll possibly let you know.
Yeah, let me know. My concern is if it runs, it's going to run really slowly. And it may not be worth it. Another thing to look at is put a Linux on it. Something like Xubuntu, xubuntu.org. It's free. It's lightweight. It's designed for older machines. It will certainly work on that, and it'll probably work better than Windows would. And then you'd be, you know, secure too, because those are that's up to date. So
could you spell that again?
Yeah, XUBUNTU.org. UNTUXUbuntu.org, and you download it just like you would the Windows 10. And the nice thing about that is you can run it from the DVD before you install it, just to see if everything's working. The mouse, the keyboard, the monitor. I wish Windows 10 did that. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy, coming up next. Oh. Before you go, the chat room is reminding me, and I should have said this, Neil, Windows 7 is free to upgrade to Windows 10, not Windows XP. You're going to have to buy Windows XP. So I think this, as soon as you say that, you're going to have to spend $150 on Windows 10. Oh, then it's not worth it. I would definitely take a look at Xubuntu. Or another one people like in the chat room, they remind me, Puppy Linux, which is a very small, lightweight Linux designed for old machines. And that's at puppylinux.com. It's grandpa friendly, it says. So Puppy Linux. And then the advantage of doing that is you're keeping that old machine going if you really like that screen. And it'll run, actually, on that machine just fine. It runs on a Raspberry Pi just fine. So I think it'll run very well on that machine. Puppylinux.com. Good point. You cannot get a free upgrade to Windows XP. Only in Windows 7. Hey, Chris.
Hey, Leo. How's it going?
It's going well. How are you?
I am fine. Getting ready for another photo tour.
Man, where are you going next time?
Ethiopia tomorrow.
Are you going tomorrow?
Yeah.
Wow. So we're going to record at 2. We'll record a couple of Marquardts.
That's the plan, yes.
Okay.
And we have an assignment review and you have an email.
Oh, how exciting. Excitement. Let me load it up here. Yeah, I've been informed by the Federal Communications Commission that when we do anything pre-recorded, we have to say it clearly, not only in the segment, but at the beginning of the show. And they fined a radio station $10,000 for not doing that.
Really?
I was stunned. So I'm going to have to...
So we have to mention that in the segment?
I will mention it, yeah. I'll just say,
that
hey,
is fine,
Chris is on his way to Ethiopia. We thought we'd pre-record this segment.
Interesting.
I know,
what
is
is the basis for that? Is it kind of misleading?
Yeah, they don't want people to be misled. And they've, in the past, never made a big deal about it. In fact, I used to be told, never mention that it's pre-recorded. We don't want anybody to think they're not getting the real deal here. But I agree. That is kind of misleading.
Strange. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, come on. A photo segment, I don't
Fair
think
enough.
anybody minds if it's pre-recorded, but all right. I'm live, but Chris is not.
Well, we can do it in a way that that you switch back and forth between you and me and write down the questions. And is there a name for that kind of a format?
Yes, there is. Sometimes if a star is a big enough celebrity, they'll send you the tracks of the star and the questions
pre-recorded
you should ask.
Answers. Yes.
Yeah, it's pre-recorded answers. I did that once with Ving Rhames. It was the worst experience of my life. I've only done it once, and I never do it again.
It would make me feel like a star, I guess.
You just send me your tracks and tell me what to ask, and then I will read it. It was the weirdest experience of my life. Chris Marquardt, photo guy, about to leave tomorrow, leaving for a photo expedition. Where are you going?
Ethiopia. We're going to the south of Ethiopia, to the Omo Valley, where we are going to visit, I think, 12 tribes in 2 weeks.
So cool. So cool.
Very, very cultural experience. Is
this your first time doing Ethiopia?
No, I've been to Ethiopia twice, but never down south. Always in different areas, in the Danakil Desert, in Dalol, which is like sulfur springs, the hottest place that humans have ever lived, that kind of stuff. So
you want to know more about Chris's photo workshops, go to discoverthetopfloor.com. I can't wait to see your pictures when you come back. We will record a couple of segments with Chris next week. Meanwhile, it's time for a review. We have a photo assignment to take a look at. Kitty.
Oh. The kitten assignment, which has received great stuff. I'm really happy with how this came out.
I'm not surprised. People love their kitty cats.
So I've chosen, and there's a lot of very, I'd say, typical kitten photos, close up, out of focus.
There's even one of a
background,
pig. I don't know. Maybe the
stuff.
pig's named Kitty. I don't know.
Possible. So I've chosen 3 that are kind of a bit on the quirky side. The first one is by Smacklagan.
Smacklagan. Good Scottish name.
Yeah. Bumcat20 is the name. It's just a snapshot, but it is such a great photo because we are looking at 2 hikers going down a path, and one of them has a dog and the other one has a cat, and that cat is riding on the top of the backpack. So never seen something like that before, and I think it's amazing.
Wow.
It's really amazing.
Now, I wonder if that's posed or if Smacklagan was just walking along and said, whoa, I got to get a shot of that.
Have you ever had a cat?
Oh,
Do you think you could pose a cat? I don't think
No,
so.
you couldn't tell the cat to do it, but the cat would do it, and then you'd want to get a picture because cats will do anything to get on a high spot.
That is true. That is true. I think this cat is just hitching a ride there. I think
Hitching
it's
a ride. And there's a
it
dog,
has a
too.
collar on, so I think it probably belongs.
That's wild.
So, yeah, it's just an interesting little group.
Not a particularly great picture, but boy, the subject
from
matter
a
is
photography
good.
point of view, it's a snapshot. It's a snapshot,
Yeah.
but still, I mean, the content kind of counts, and I found this funny. Second one, by Alan Guido, Little Kitty, and that is a cat picture from a different perspective because we're looking at a cat that is reaching through some fencing at the camera with outstretched claws. So not sure what the cat's trying to do. Maybe it wants the photographer to go away, but
I think the cat wants to eat the photographer. I believe cats are just waiting for an opportunity to eat you. So.
I think that's what they do. Yeah. So it's just one of these action shots that I think is funny. I like 2 things about this a lot. The first is that the focus is spot on the face.
Hard
you can
to do.
see
Hard to do. Yeah.
the hair like really bright in front of the darker parts. The second part, I wish there was a bit more light in the eyes because that you don't really see the eyes, and the eyes are kind of important. Cat's eyes are
in this case
very special.
The cat is narrowing its eyes as it sizes you up. It's dinner, so there's a reason you can't see its eyes. You know, I also like that the photographer made it black and white. I like that.
That's another thing that jumped at me because it kind of focuses you on the subject, on the cat. There's colors can often be distracting. I mean, that fencing, for all we know, might be red and really distracting attention away from the cat. And just by making it black and white, you kind of have to focus on the subject, which is clearly the cat in this picture.
I like it. I do like cats. You have cats, Chris? I can't remember.
We did have 2. Now we have 1, and I really like the cat.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, we have.
I'm more on the cat side.
We had 3. Now we have 2. Our cat Hamilton has decided he wanted to live somewhere else, so he just went over there. Said, "Feed me."
That's what cats do. Yeah, very opportunistic.
But Samantha and Paris are still definitely at home.
Are they inside cats, or do they go?
Well, there you have the ability to go outside.
Okay, good.
But they
just don't want to.
They often stay inside. In fact, I can pretty much promise Samantha's sleeping on my bed right now. Just guessing, but I think.
Right. Okay. Third picture, again by Alan Guido. We allow photographers to submit pictures once a week. So
he's got 2.
He's got lucky, and I didn't pick the picture. I just realized it's him again. I didn't pick the picture looking at the names. I look at the pictures when I make the choice. And this, again, it's a quirky one. It's okay. Well, what are we looking at? We're looking at some red fencing, which I believe might be the same fence as in the other picture.
I think it is.
I could possibly be. So I was not wrong with the red fencing. But in this picture, what we see is a sticker on the fence that has been there for years. Obviously, it's worn out, it's weathered, and the sticker shows just a very close-up comic face drawing of a cat. And for some reason, I don't know what it is around the sticker, but it looks like someone's, I don't know, looks like some buckshot around it or something. It really looks like, I don't know, it just jumped at me. It's almost like a little window and a cat looking out of this little comic cat looking out of this window.
Texture is very nice. Yeah, I really like it. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's textures, it's the two eyes looking at you, and you realize, oh, it's a cat and it's weathered, and for some reason it kind of tells a story. I mean, that someone must have put that sticker on there, and then why did they put it on like not even straight, and why did no one ever take it off? And must have been someone who loves cats. Or
well, you have a vivid imagination. I think you get a lot of mileage out of that sticker.
Of course I do. Of course I do.
Very nice. So first time ever somebody's got two pictures.
Yeah, congratulations. So that was the kitten assignment, and we have a new assignment. Our moderator, Renee Silverman, has submitted today's assignment. It's layers.
Layers.
I read like this. We're going by the alphabet, so L is the next one, and I always ask in the Tech Guy group, which by the way has 13,500 members now, and we have a little thread there where I ask people for submissions, for suggestions for the next topic, and Renee submitted layers, and I think that's perfect. There's a lot of stuff you can make out of it.
Yeah, that's a deep one. That's something you can really play with. So here's how this works. You're going to take we got a month. Chris will be back from Ethiopia in a few weeks, but we'll give you about 4 weeks to do this. You're going to take a picture, and the whole idea is these are new images, because really this is all about you getting out and taking pictures. It doesn't have to be with a fancy camera. It could be with a camera phone. It doesn't really matter. But take a picture illustrating the words or concept layers, whatever that means to you. And then tag it with TG Layers. You got to upload it to Flickr. Tag it TG for Tech Guy Layers and submit it to the Tech Guy group. You'll know you're in the Tech Guy group because it's like 13,000 members. Other workshops coming up. You can find out more at discoverthetopfloor.com. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. Line 4, George in Laguna Niguel, California. Hi, George.
Hello, Leo. How are you today?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing well, and thank you for taking my call and for helping a boomer get through the millennial stuff.
Okay, boomer. Well, you know, I'm a boomer, too, so wouldn't you like to be a boomer, too? Actually, the kids often take cues from me. You'd think these millennials would be, you know, they grew up in the Internet era. They'd be all Internet savvy. A lot of them aren't.
You got that right, because the question I have for you is regarding my kids' use of their phones and the bill I'm getting.
Oy.
Yeah.
Who's your carrier?
Verizon.
Yeah, you're on the most expensive carrier.
But that's not the issue. The issue is that we get bills from Apple.com. Bills.
Yeah.
With the 866 number.
Yeah.
And I tried calling that. It's no help. I checked. We have 4 phones. I checked 3 out of the 4 phones for subscriptions, and there are no subscriptions other than Apple Music and the 5 gigabytes of storage.
What does Apple say those bills are for, and how much are they?
They don't tell you, and a lot. $430.
What? And oh yeah, because you have to change it with Apple, don't you?
Yes.
I wonder. It doesn't say who it is. They just say this is the total amount. Because I usually get. Let me just look. But I thought I usually got from Apple an itemization of what was being spent.
Well, this is a credit card bill.
Oh, it's not from Apple. It's from your credit card company.
Correct.
But it says Apple, and you're not getting emails from Apple saying we just charged your card.
No.
Oh, you should.
I get the emails from Apple for the 2 things that we do have. When my daughter's in college and coming home, so I'll be able to check subscriptions. But she's assured me that she has no subscriptions on her phone.
So who is the manager of the family account? They're all on the family account, I take it.
think. I think.
Well, if you're getting the bill, they're on Dad's account, and you're probably the manager, I imagine. Look on your phone, okay, and you presuming this went through the iPhone and that account, you can see your purchase history for both the App Store and the iTunes Store. So that's the first thing I would do, is look at your purchase history.
Okay.
And you can also see what your subscriptions are. So I'm going to put a link to the, it's finance. You got to do this in the iTunes app.itunes.apple.com/purchases, which is ridiculous. And what that will do is open iTunes up, but you can also look directly if you open up iTunes. Look at your account. You also can look at subscriptions in there and see what your subscriptions are. Is it the same amount every month?
No, there are various amounts.
Okay, so it may not be subscription, but you can get an itemized, and I think this is what you need to do, itemized purchase history from Apple. That'll help. It may be, who knows? Are each kid attached to your credit card?
Yeah.
Okay. And when you change the card, you changed it only with Apple, and you still got the charge, which tells me that it is a legitimate charge through Apple because you changed the card with Apple. So it's possible that there's all sorts of ways you can get this issue. There are in-app purchases. If this turns out to be what's going on, you can disable that on a phone. Now, usually an adult child, you're not going to be able to, they're not going to let you put parental controls on their phone, but you could say it's that or get off my credit card, .com/billing. There's a link there to view your purchase history. You can request your refund. You can cancel your subscriptions, and you can verify unfamiliar charges.
By that, but I have another question while I have you on the phone.
Yes.
We're making this a family show earlier. We're having the same issue with PlayStation, and I have my 18-year-old son here. Can he ask you a question?
Sure.
How you get them?
How do I get the charges off for PlayStation Network?
You don't want, it's charging you for the PlayStation Network.
Yeah.
And you don't want it.
I mean, yeah, my dad doesn't want it.
Dad doesn't want it. Yeah, those are the games. It's actually nice. Those are the way you can play against other people, and you can get games, and there's all sorts of stuff. All the gaming systems have that. He has to log into your PlayStation ID and cancel it. Dad can also cancel that credit card. That might also do it. We have a sponsor on the podcast that I use for this kind of stuff called Privacy, privacy.com. And if this comes up again, you pause the credit card, and that's that. They can't charge it anymore. That gives you control instead of having to go to the PlayStation Network to cancel it. But if you go to PlayStation.com, you can go to the PlayStation Network. You can look at the account. You can disconnect it. You can stop the subscription, and probably that's a good idea. The Dad, obviously, you started looking at the bills and you said, "Well, this is all adding up, isn't it?"
Well, that's basically what it came down to, and then life gets in the way. So,
yeah, right. I know. I have a lot of subscriptions. This is why I like Privacy, because instead of having to figure out how to cancel subscriptions, I go through the Privacy account and pause anything I don't want anymore. And that's that on that. They can't charge you anymore. The disadvantage of Privacy is not a charge card. It debits from your bank account. But at least you have a little bit more control over that. And it's a little more secure because once you use it with one merchant, it can't be used by anybody else.
Yeah, and these aren't subscriptions. So
yeah, that means they're probably buying in-game loot boxes and stuff like that.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Support.apple.com is probably the best, at least starting point. Support.apple.com/billing. And you'll see links there to all the different things you can figure out, including who's on your family plan. You can manage purchases. You can verify unfamiliar charges. You can cancel subscriptions. And in many cases, that's going to go to iTunes. You also can do it on your phone. There's a manage payments section on the phone, and you might want to take a look at that as well. Yeah, that's that's what happens, though. I mean, my kids are all grown, and I'm still paying for a lot of that stuff. In fact, I have a subscription. My daughter subscribed to a dating service, and then stopped using an iPhone. And I'm, for the life of me, I'm gonna have to do the same thing you're doing. How do I get it? She says, I don't want that anymore. I said, well, okay, but you can't cancel it because you don't have an iPhone anymore. So this is why I really like the idea of credit cards that are tied to a merchant that you can pause or delete. Really like that idea. Our show today, oh man, kids. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, and all that jazz. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number if you want to ask a question or make a comment or a suggestion. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. On we go with the show to Brenda in Fullerton, California. Hello, Brenda.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. I had a question about the Raspberry Pi or Raspberry Cream. Which is it, Raspberry Pi?
Pi. Cream is soda. Pi is not pie, but a computer. Yes.
All right. So I have grandkids 9 and 7, and their parents don't allow them to have a computer, a tablet, nothing. And they would really like to have something. And that sounds like something that I would be able to get them that would be acceptable for their parents. But I'm not
really. They wouldn't mind because it is a computer. What is their objection to a computer? Screen time, the amount of time a kid will spend playing with that thing?
I think a little bit of both and what they might be exposed to.
Well, yeah. And of course, right. Internet access means anything, including a Raspberry Pi, if it were online, could go to all sorts of unfortunate places. On the other hand, leaving a kid out from the digital revolutions is problematic as well, right? Because
exactly
they need to know this stuff. Yeah. The nice thing about Raspberry Pi, it is a computer.
Homework comes on tablets. They use their mom's tablet.
Oh, okay.
Their homework.
Okay. So they have some exposure. I love here's what the Raspberry Pi is, just so you know. It is a computer. It's a $35 computer, but it's a computer. It has a processor and memory, and it even has a HDMI port so you can connect a screen. It's got USB ports so you can connect a keyboard and mouse. So, this little thing is the size of an Altoids tin, is a full-size computer, even runs a real operating system called Raspbian, which is a version of Linux. Any kid who is sufficiently motivated, and your grandkids might be because they don't have a computer, can really learn a lot about computing from this thing. They can play Minecraft on it, which is, I think, a very wholesome and it's kind of Lego for the 21st century. It's a great game. And by playing Minecraft, they can learn a lot about how computers work. And with the Raspberry Pi, they can even use Python, a programming language, to control the Minecraft game, which, given that these kids have no exposure, this might be something they could become little Bill Gateses over, So I do like the Raspberry Pi a lot. I think it's in fact, I often say to people, if you can't afford or you don't want to give your kid a computer, consider a Raspberry Pi. Now, remember, the $35 is just the heart of the unit. It doesn't include keyboard, mouse, or monitor. So you're going to need to buy that as well. But if you look online, either at the Raspberry Pi site or one of many hobbyist sites that sell Raspberry Pis, you'll see they often sell kits that include all of that. My favorite is, because it's run by women, they're brilliant engineers, is Adafruit, A-D-A-F-R-U-I-T, Adafruit.com. They have a whole Raspberry Pi section, and they have a Raspberry Pi starter pack. They have a touch screen. They have, and so you could easily, for $100 or less, get a full computer. And honestly, it's as fast as the computers that we spent thousands of dollars for as recently as 10 years ago or 15 years ago. But there is a learning curve. They're not just going to be able to sit down and start playing their video games. But maybe that's what mom and dad want.
Possibly, because I think there's a way to block websites and parental controls on the computers anyway for them, right?
Yeah, not on the Raspberry Pi, but yeah. The Raspberry Pi is a little too primitive for that. But if they were to get a regular computer, or another way to do it is for them to do it at the router, the thing that connects them to the internet may have parental controls. Disney's Circle is very popular, and that comes with a lot of routers and things like that. So, yeah, those parental controls, and that'll protect them on any computer, including the Raspberry Pi or Mom's iPad.
Okay.
So look at Disney Circle, and that's something that they can do as an app, or they can install it on their router. They can even buy a Circle device, and that protects kids pretty thoroughly. You can even set bedtimes. You could say screen time only allowed between 6 and 7 p.m. You could, a lot more control over what's going on.
Okay, so ADA, Fruit, and then Disney Circle.
Yeah, it's meetcircle.com. Honestly, unless the kids are pretty motivated, the Raspberry Pi might not be a good choice because it's kind of like batteries not included. You got to figure it out. But if your grandkids are smart and motivated, you just don't know. The good news is you're not out a lot of money. They're fairly inexpensive.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I'm not out of money. It might be something that goes.
There's no computer less.
When they get a hold of one.
Right. There's no computer less than a Raspberry Pi. But you got to say to them, look, kids, and of course you're going to need online access because that's where all the manuals and the information lives.
Right.
You don't buy books. I mean, I guess you can. There are books. But maybe that's the thing to do is when you get the Raspberry Pi, get a book that'll give them a little bit of a head start because you have to figure it all out.
Okay.
And if mom and dad have a router that supports Circle, Netgear's support Circle, for instance, this will be a lot easier. Then they don't have to worry about the kids getting into trouble online.
Which is, I think, their main concern.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but you're right, Brenda. You don't want to let the kids be digital illiterates. When they go to school, they need to know how to use it. And more importantly, when they go to work, they need to know how to use it.
Right, and at this point, they're going to be a little bit left behind if all the access they have is at school and their mom's laptop for the computer.
That's right. We remember going to school with kids who didn't have TVs, right? They were the weirdos. You're not watching Batman? What do you do? Oh, I read books.
Exactly.
What? What are you, crazy?
That's the theory, exactly.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I had a friend whose parents wouldn't let him have candy, no sugar, which I understand and support, except that what did he want when he came over to visit? He wanted candy.
Oh, exactly.
Give me candy.
My one granddaughter. Let me have a Coke. I love Coke.
Exactly.
A Coke today, you know?
Yeah. It just makes the forbidden object becomes the object of desire.
Exactly. So I don't know.
You're a good grandma, Brenda. I think this is a worth looking into. The other possibility is, they are using mom's tablet, so maybe a tablet. There's just nothing as inexpensive as a Raspberry Pi. Literally, a full system under $100.
All right. I will do that. I'll look into it more thoroughly.
Good.
And hopefully this will be acceptable. Thank you for your help. You're
all right.
wonderful.
My pleasure. Thanks for calling. Yeah, I'm a big advocate. Usually, though, I recommend Raspberry Pis into families where somebody in the family is a little bit of a geek and has the time to sit down with the kids and help them set it up, help them learn about it. It's a great learning experience. I mean, it really is. We have a lot of listeners who do projects with Raspberry Pis. Because it's so inexpensive, you can make a digital, for instance, let's say you want to make a digital photo frame. Maybe like the Harry Potter. You know how in Harry Potter the pictures move? You could easily do that with a Raspberry Pi and it wouldn't be that expensive. Or a smart mirror, a mirror with information projected from within. There's all sorts of things you can do. A lot of people use their Raspberry Pis, actually, to protect their network from the internet. There's software called a Pi hole. Yeah, there are a lot of Pi puns in the Raspberry Pi world. The Pi hole, P-I-H-O-L-E, it's pi-hole.net, is a little thing that runs on a Raspberry Pi that protects your whole network, network-wide. Mostly ad blocking, but it can do other filtering. So I bought a Dell XPS 13. Such a cute little computer. Oh, I got to bring it in and show you. So cute. So cute. Tiny, 13 inches, but just beautiful, lightweight. Really a perfect little portable computer, you know. But and I got the developers edition because I wanted to run it with Linux. And I'm devastated because it comes with Ubuntu. It comes with 18.04, which is an old Ubuntu, but it's the last, you know, long-term support version. But you can't install Pop! OS on it. I did get it, Roberto, and I'm sad. I'm sad because I messed with Ubuntu until I got it kind of, sort of all right. But boy, Ubuntu, it really reinforces my distaste for Ubuntu. And I know it's what a lot of people use. It's easily the most popular version of Linux. It's not the best. It's very idiosyncratic. For instance, it doesn't come with Firefox. It comes with Chrome and Chromium. And on the dock, there's an Amazon icon. That peeves me. In order to get it, even little things like, for some reason, it's a 24-hour clock. And there's no setting, as there is in every other Linux I've ever used, to make it a 12-hour clock. So you have to download a GNOME extension to make it a 12-hour clock. That's crazy. It's just very idiosyncratic and not a very good version of Linux, in my opinion. The one I prefer, Pop! OS, takes Ubuntu and makes it usable. Or Debian. But unfortunately, they're doing something weird in the firmware on this thing. And I cannot install Pop! OS. I even found a very elaborate grub fix. Apparently, it's a grub version issue. I found an elaborate grub fix, and it still doesn't work right. I'm hoping Pop! OS in 2004 will fix this, which means next month. But meanwhile, I'm stuck using Ubuntu, which is crap. That's the main thing I'm talking about. I can't put Pop! OS on it. I can't put Debian on it. I think I can put, and I probably should put Manjaro on it. And, of course, I probably could put Arch on it with a little bit of effort. But it's a kind of, I don't know what they're doing. I think their UEFI implementation is idiosyncratic. But really, the takeaway is not, I don't like the XPS. I think it's fine. The takeaway is Ubuntu is crap. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo. Oh, it's a different one. I got the wrong song.
Let's try that.
Well, you know what? Play the other one. It sounds exactly the same. I think there's a lot of overlap. There's some geeks who took a MIDI composing program and generated every possible melody within one octave. Most of them, of course, sound horrible. And then copyrighted it. Because they say there's too many lawsuits. You know, people sue, that's my melody. And it's hard if you're a musician. I imagine it's very difficult not to accidentally copy something or independently come up with the same melody. There aren't that many after all. And then get dinged. For a long time, remember Bittersweet Symphony? Remember that song? For a long time, they sample, at the very beginning, they sample a Rolling Stones song. And for a long time, the Rolling Stones complained they had to give credit, the Verve, the band that did it, had to give credit to the Rolling Stones and most of their royalties. Because just, a little coinkydink there. Actually, the Rolling Stones just recently gave the credit and royalties back after 20 years. Remember Ghostbusters, right? And Huey Lewis sued, saying, wait a minute, that Ghostbusters melody sounds an awful lot like my song, I Want a New Drug. Won in court. George Harrison, the Beatle, got sued because his song, He's So Fine, I mean, My Sweet Lord, see, even I'm confused, sounded so much like the Chiffons, Here's So Fine. It's hard to come up with an original melody. So these nerds used basically what's called a brute force attack. You can, with a computer, just go through every possible combination of all the notes. So they generated many hundreds of gigabytes worth of MIDI files with all the different notes. And they said, we're going to license this. Actually, they didn't copyright it. They used Creative Commons so that no one will ever get sued again. Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. 8888 Ask Leo. Anyway, so that's my excuse for thinking that was Will Smith, Miami, instead of, what was it? Whispers. See, everybody copies the Whispers. That's the problem. You love the Whispers, don't you? Lady Laura, our musical director, ladies and gentlemen. Take a bow, Lady Laura. She's got her baton in one hand, her CDs in the other. Line 3, John in San Diego. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Hey, John.
I'm going to make you feel old. I think I got all your callers beat. I remember hearing you, I think it was on KCBS or KNBR.
KNBR in San Francisco.
On a law call-in show? Was it like Lawyers on the Line in like 1989?
Yeah. Actually, that's the story of how I got in this computer thing because, I was a regular DJ and talk show host for many years. And then in I guess it was around 88, 89, the San Francisco radio station I was on said, we're going to replace you with this new guy, Rush Limbaugh. We think he's pretty good. And I said, oh, boy. But they said, we're going to put you on the weekends, and you can do law, cars, food, all sorts of different shows. I said, okay, but can I do a computer show because I really like computers? They said, nobody wants, this is late 80s, nobody wants a computer show. Please, I'll do food, law, house, home improvement, real estate, all that stuff. I'll do that if you let me do one little 2-hour computer show. And they said yes, and that was the beginning of the end. Never had to worry about Rush Limbaugh again. So thank you. I'm glad you.
I didn't realize that was the genesis. Yeah.
I owe Rush Limbaugh my career in computing.
On my house, and I would hear you doing that law show.
Yeah. What can I do for you?
Hey, I've got this gremlin that's just driving me nuts. I've Googled, I've done everything to try to find it. It's a notification on my Android phone. So the scenario is I don't use Do Not Disturb. I put my phone into airplane mode. I go to bed.
Yeah, that's a good way not to be disturbed. It can't get anything.
I thought, and there's like low light, because I turn out the lights. I put the phone down. I put it on the charger. 5 minutes to 15 minutes later, there's always a kind of like a fading train whistle sound. And I can't figure out. It's like.
It's a lonesome whistle. What does it sound like?
It goes. For the life of me, I don't want to reset my phone and blah, blah, blah.
You don't? Now, if you do the pull down, do you see what that notification came from?
No, because that's what I don't fully understand, the difference between notifications and alerts and all that kind of stuff.
Well, they're all kind of the same thing. On Android, is it a which version of Android? You probably don't know this. Do you know what version of Android it is?
I've got a new Motorola G7.
Oh, good. So it'll be Android, at least it'll be 9, if not 10.
9?
Yeah,
9.
probably 9.
I think it's 9.
All right, so 9 and later, so anything that goes, should there's one exception to this, but should put up a little notification that you can, when you slide down, would show you in the notifications, the little shade there, what it was. So I would look there, and I believe they started this in 9. You can then control it from there by sliding over and hitting the little gear, and you can say, I don't want to hear that anymore. Now, there is one exception, and I think this might be what it is. I know it takes a while after you put it on the charger, but most phones do make a little sound when the charger kicks in. So it might be that it's not kicking in right away.
Yeah, it's one of their turbochargers. The one that comes with those.
Yeah, I wonder. I mean, when that happens, you don't get a notification. There's nothing in the window shade to indicate that you got that sound. So that might be a charging sound. You can turn those off in the settings. You can look through your notifications and make sure you don't have it. There are some notifications that make sounds and don't show window shades. Those should be, if you look through your notifications, obvious. Of course, better than turning the phone into airplane mode would be using Do Not Disturb. That should stop that. You shouldn't hear anything.
I'm scared of Do Not Disturb because I'm a flight attendant on call.
And you got to be on call.
Sometimes I forget to turn it off, or I'm not. I have to get the call.
Well, there is in the Do Not Disturb settings. You can say I can take calls from favorites, or if somebody calls twice, there are settings that will let some stuff get through. And that's what you would do. Is you'd add is it always the same number? The call center probably is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you can add that number to your favorites and say, don't block favorites if they call. Maybe it's a fully charged sound. You know what? That could be what it is. That's why it takes a little while. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's a funny sound. It could be. How long does it take after you plug it in? Maybe it's fully charged. Maybe.
I think. Well, I usually charge down to about maybe 30 to 40% during the day.
It wouldn't happen in 15 minutes.
I don't think, even though it's that turbocharger, I don't think it's fully charged by then.
Boy, I wish you could.
Like apps that are useful for tracking that kind of stuff. Like
no, not that I know of. Why is my phone making that sound? That would be a good app.
So it's like I'm trying to sleep, and then it's like, and my wife's like, "Will you shut that off?"
I know. My wife does the same thing. She says, your phone's making noise. But then when hers makes noise, does she go, oh, sorry, my phone's making noise? No. Her phone now doesn't make noise, but it lights up periodically, which is really annoying. I don't,
There's other sounds and stuff that are kind of pre-assigned. You know, they're just nebulous. You don't know if I've gone in into where I want text messages to make a certain sound and define that. But then there's these other ones that are default, and I think it's email coming in and stuff, but I'm like, I don't even care about it. But it's still kind of I think it's a problem for a lot of people, you know?
Your phone was lighting up last night, honey. My wife came in here to flip me off. She says mine goes off all the time. But does it go, does it sound like a train?
Yeah, it's like this. It's not like the. It's like a fade in train.
Wow. I don't know. I do not know. I mean, I always. In fact, you can schedule this. So here's what I would do: is schedule Do Not Disturb. Say allow favorites through. If you don't want anybody to call you except work, you could have it just be the favorites, just one number in your favorites. And you can also set it, I mean, it's much more functional. But the nice thing about Do Not Disturb, and this is what I do, is it can be on a schedule. So if you know your bedtime is 10 p.m. and you get up at 7 a.m., you can say, just look, I don't want any notifications after 9, period. And it'll just do that automatically. You don't even have to remember it. Airplane mode, as the chat room is pointing out, would stop any internet-based notifications like you've got mail or you've got a message, but it would not stop internal notifications like the battery being charged or discharging or anything like that. So that's
Do Not Disturb would disable those too?
Yep, no sounds at all.
Okay, I just have to trust in it because it's such a critical call. But my
No. In fact, I'm going to look in the settings here, under the Do Not Disturb. It's under Sound. Do Not Disturb. You can allow from starred contacts. So that would be, you could make that be a starred contact.
Oh yeah, they are, of course.
And then you can set it. You can say no visuals or sounds from notifications. You could say you'll see notifications, but you won't get any sound. There's also custom settings. There's all sorts of, I think it's a fairly sophisticated setup, and that's part of Android now. And I'm pretty sure you'll have that in Android 9. So I think that's probably what you want to do. It's in the sound settings on my Pixel. The G7 is pretty pure, so it'll probably be in the sound settings there.
Yeah, excellent phone. Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate your help.
Yeah, thank you. Who do you fly for?
I fly for SkyWest.
Nice.
So here in San Diego, we're dedicated to the Alaska operation because we do all the regional. We do the regional flying for all.
Yeah, we get up here in Santa Rosa. We get SkyWest as the Alaska.
Yep, my daughter lives up there, so I do that overnight and get to see her all the time. We come into Charles Schultz International.
That's right. It's our favorite airport. I wish they had more flights.
STS.
Yep, STS. STS, baby.
Yeah,
I'm in the 707 on the STS. Nice to talk to you, John.
Bye.
Let's go to line 2 and Vanessa in Phelan, California. Hey, Vanessa.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Awesome. I'm great. I've been listening to you for about about a year now.
Thank you.
I guess I never realized how great your section was. I wasn't always driving in on Sundays, so
It's just this guy on the radio, but now you know.
Yeah, you're awesome. Anyway, okay, so I have a question.
Yes.
I have a 27-inch iMac, and I bought that 2 years ago. And I bought it in May 2 years ago. And just the other day, I put my SD card in because I do drone photography, and
cool.
that's what I'm starting. Yeah, I'm starting a business doing that, and I have a Mavic Pro 2 with the smart controller.
Very
and I
nice.
also and I love it, but I also have a question about that. And then I also have a Phantom 4 Advanced.
Oh man, you're a DJI. You're an all DJI all the time.
I just got this, wild hair, and I was like, I want to start a drone photography.
Is it mostly for real estate, or who are your customers?
Honestly, I'm just starting, so I've only had one customer so far.
That's exciting. I should take lessons from you because I have yet to own a drone, including my Mavic Pro, that I haven't flown into the mountain, the water, a tree. I've lost them all. The last one, the Mavic Pro, I was in the Caribbean, and it sank without a trace.
Oh, no.
Bubble, bubble, bubble. Yeah, I know. A lot of money.
How did you lose that? Yeah, it just lost signal?
No. Oh, I shouldn't have been doing this. I was on a catamaran. It was a little windy. I wanted to show off. Started flying it. It was a little windy. I couldn't really bring it in to land. It has an automatic come back home button. But it couldn't quite bring it in because it was so windy. And then, unbeknownst to me, because it was a sailboat, it has all these guy wires. I could barely see them holding up this mast, and the drone hit the guy wire and suddenly slewed sideways into the drink.
Oh my gosh, I'm surprised it didn't do the obstacle avoidance and avoid the wire.
Well, maybe it wasn't as smart as your drone.
Maybe it wasn't in that mode.
They're smarter now than they used to be, and people keep saying, Leo, you should buy another drone. You can't crash them. I don't know. I gave my son the new Mavic Mini. He's loving it for his trip to Asia. Yeah.
Well, maybe you'll have to have him let you borrow that one and try that.
No, he won't let me go near it. Are you kidding? So, yeah, movies are using drone footage like crazy now. They used to have to rent a helicopter. Now you see drone footage in movies all the time. So I think you're going to have lots of opportunities to use your drone. So that's exciting. So what's happening? Is the SD card not being read on your new Mac or what?
Exactly. Okay, so I have 3 SD card adapters. I'm not the most tech savvy person, just to let you know. This is all new to me. I really kind of just went into a field that I didn't really know much about. But so I'm trying to figure all this out. Well, I have 3 adapters and 2 SD card, mini SD cards. The 64 gigabyte Extreme Plus. Okay, so I have 2 of those, and only one is working on the computer.
Right.
The other one isn't. I tried all the adapters.
It's because I think it's the Mac. And it is, I think, the format of the card.
Right. You know what? That makes sense because I did format one SD card, and maybe that's the one that isn't working because it is working on my smart controller because my smart controller is like a tablet. You can see everything. Yeah. And I put it in there, and it still has stuff on it. But if I would have formatted it, wouldn't that have erased all the pictures? I thought I was trying to.
Well, so there are different. When I say format, I'm talking about not formatting the drive exactly. I'm talking about the file system on it. And do you get a pop-up that says that the disk you inserted was not readable by the computer?
Yeah, I took a picture. It says exactly. It says this disk you inserted was not readable by the computer.
Yeah, and then it says initialize or eject or ignore, and obviously you want to read it. So the question is there a format that you can use that will work both in the Mavic and in the Mac? And I'm just looking because there are different formats. I would say I'm just looking on a forum, mavicpilots.com. Somebody's posted something, said Mac cannot read Mavic formatted SD card. And some say it's the type of the card. You have to have a certain kind of card. But you're able to record it on the Mavic, right?
I am.
And can you play it back anywhere else?
Okay, so I haven't really tried that. I actually I did try to put it on my dad's laptop.
See if Windows machines could read it. So did you, now the Mavic, I'm trying to remember, does it have a format command so that you can format it in the drone?
So I think that's what I did.
Okay.
I'm still learning about formatting and all of that. I'm not really, if you could give me a quick rundown on formatting, that would be great.
So format it in the Mavic. Okay. But then if you have trouble reading in the Mac, it may be that the Mac can't read. I'm not sure what format the Mavic uses. It may use a format. See, Apple's can't read some file formats. I think the format you want to use is called exFAT. That's a file type. And you can do that with the disk utility. So that's another thing to do is open up in the applications folder, in the utilities folder in there, there's a program called Disk Utility. You can open it up with the disk utility and see if you can see the card. If the card's okay, but you can't read the data off of it, the disk utility may be able to see it and say what format it is, and it may be an incompatible format. So let's see. I would start by formatting it. Now, remember, you're going to want to get if you've got stuff on there, you're going to lose it when you format it or repartition it. So copy it off if you can. Obviously, you can't on your Mac, but maybe you can borrow a Windows machine and read it. And then try formatting in the Mavic directly. You can buy cards, for instance, in the store that you can't read on the Mac. So... Can you connect? Here's another thing. Can you connect? I think you can. Can you connect the drone via USB cable to the Mac? In other words, use the drone as the card reader?
You know what? I believe you can. I haven't done that. But
I would do that.
Yeah.
I would do that and see if that would be one way at least to get those pictures off, because you'd be using the Mavic as the card reader. It should be able to read the card and then use the USB cable to send the data to the Mac in a form the Mac says, oh, I could see this.
Right.
So try that. And anyway, this mavicpilots.com, there's a whole thread on this. And sometimes it seems to be, as I'm scanning through this, it's the type of the card. Was this a card that came with your drone, or was this a card you bought?
No, I bought these, and I even have the higher version. Like, I feel like these were the ones that everyone recommended.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Yeah.
The thing was, it was working before. So
formatted in the Mavic, it was working before. Oh, maybe the card's just dead. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You want to format it in the Mavic and see, and maybe the card's dead. These cards die.
Right.
That's not unusual. Who made the card? What's the brand?
Well, I can read it in my Mavic's controller though.
But
it's SanDisk.
It's SanDisk. That's a good company. Yeah. And those are excellent SD cards. Those are the ones I use. So you can read it, and the controller shows you the images and everything.
Yeah,
it's just the Mac. Well, so try instead of using the card reader, try connecting the Mavic to the Mac. Use it as the card reader. And if that doesn't work, So that we know the cards are okay. We know the Mavic can read the cards, or the DJIs, the two, and can you read them in both of the drones?
I haven't tried with my Phantom, but the thing is, I have 2 of these SD cards, and only one of them isn't working. One of them does work in the Mac.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it could be that it's formatted with a file format the Mac can't read. It looks like exFAT is usually what they want, but I don't know if you'll have a choice within the Mavic. I would get the data off it, try formatting it with the Mavic. And, I'm looking at this, and there's all sorts of, different suggestions.
Yeah, I've been on that thread, actually.
Oh, okay. Oh, you've gone through all of these. Okay.
Yeah.
Boy, you got me. I'm
like, I should call Leo.
Yeah. I wish I could figure out what's going on.
Yeah.
There are a number of threads. Here's one on the DJI for a Mavic 2 Pro SD card not readable on Mac. And, yeah, I just, and you got different card readers. Does it not work with any of the card readers you've tried?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't work with all 3 of them.
I guess it's the format, because you can read it on the drone.
Yeah.
And so that means the data's there. Try connecting the drone via USB cable to Mac. See if you can read it that way. At least you could get the data off and then reformat the cards in the Mavic.
Right. Or I could even, I don't know. I was going to say use my drone to take it from the SD card onto the internal storage and then put a different card in and then put that on.
You could do that as well. But I would see if you can read it from, use the drone as the card reader. That might help. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Sure. What a great business, Vanessa. That's exciting. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Boy, I should take lessons from you. Have you ever crashed your drones?
No, not. You know what? Actually, it's funny because the landing, how it has the return to home. Well,
yeah, love that.
I was trying to fight it. Yeah, well, I was.
Don't fight it.
I was trying to do it myself. Yeah. Okay. So
let it do it.
Couldn't do that.
No, it's good. Except if you're.
My blade ran into a rock, and now I have 4 bad blades.
Oh, I hate that. Yeah, I had a drone for a while. You'd start to take off, it would just go sideways. It would crash every time, and I think because it had a broken blade. I think. I am the drone killer. I've learned my lesson. No more drones for me. I'll let Vanessa do it instead.
You know what? I have a quick question, though. I'm sorry.
Sure.
Do you have time?
I got 30 seconds. Quick.
Okay. So why does the frame, skip on my Mavic Pro 2? I feel like when I'm in the air, it's unless I go really slow, it's really skippy, my video.
That's the card. I think you have bad cards. That's the card. Oh. That's the card. So now I'm thinking you have bad cards because it's not able to write fast enough to keep up with the video.
Okay.
That's the card. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Cool. I'm thinking there are counterfeit cards. So maybe you got a bad one. Sorry. Is it time? Be myself again. Hey, thank you for being here today. I appreciate it. Thank you to Lady Laura, our musical director. She plays the music that baffles me. The music of the Youngs, I also thank Kim Schaffer. She answers the phones for us, gets you on the air, and she does a great job. I appreciate it. But, most of all, I thank you for listening, for calling, for being a part of the show. Couldn't do it without you. Thank you. 8888 Ask Leo. I don't know why I'm saying that. I got 2 calls. I'll probably use up the rest of the show with these 2 calls. There's only a few minutes left. Let's see. Jay in Worcester. Notice how I say that correctly, Jay. Worcester, Massachusetts. Hello, Jay.
Hey, Leo. This is me, Jay.
Hi, Jay. I'm great.
Okay. I think this is going to be a really simple question for once. Because
I haven't had one today yet, so please make it simple for a simple guy.
All right, I bought this Premier Mobile extendable magnetic window and dash mount, and I got an iPhone. It's I think it's an iPhone 7.
Yeah.
But you know what? I've always got this thing about this magnetic thing. Is it not going to screw up the?
No.
compass inside your iPhone?
No, because it's not a magnetic. It would if it were a magnetic compass, but it's not.
Oh.
Yeah. So.
What about the battery too? Because
no. Your phone is impervious to magnets. In fact, some phones have magnets in them. I know the iPad does. They actually have magnets to hold the cases in place. So your iPhone 7 does not, I don't think, have a magnet, but it's certainly magnets are harmless to the phone and will not impact the compass. On the other hand, you don't want a lot of. Does it have a metal holder?
Well,
you don't want to put a lot of metal around the phone because that can block the signal.
No, it's just it's just attaching the back of the iPhone is attaches to like a round little.
Yeah, you put a little disc. Yeah, a little disc on the back, and then there's a magnet on your, on the car, and it goes, and it's a strong magnet too, right? It really holds that thing.
I haven't tried it yet because I was worried.
No, it's fine. I have one on my iPad. I love it. It holds it like crazy. It's like super glue.
Because I always get this. I always think about the worst case scenario. I'm going down the street with my GPS, and all of a sudden it starts going haywire on me when I really need it.
I hate that, but that's not the magnet. That's just life. So GPS needs a line of sight signal to the sky. It's those satellites up there. That's why GPS doesn't work when you go in a parking garage or inside a mall, because it can't see the satellite. So it is the case as you drive around. It needs to see at least 3 satellites, preferably more, to figure out where you are. So it is the case as you're driving around that, you lose a signal, your GPS will go haywire. Phone GPS is notoriously not great.
Okay. Hey, there's one other thing that's been bugging me.
Sure, Jay.
Every time I go near a city like Boston, it changes from taking a left or right, and when I go into Boston, it's telling me to go north and south. I have no idea where I am.
That's because, you know why that is? And this always bugs me about Boston. It's an old city, right? It was built for horses.
No.
And there is no left or right. It's like take a 30-degree left or a 5-degree right. It's like there's no squares anywhere in the whole city of Boston. And so I think
nothing like New York. Yeah.
No, New York, it's a grid. It's nice. Washington D.C., it's a grid. Paris, it's a grid.
You cannot get lost.
No, but Boston, those are all old goat paths you're driving along.
Yeah, you're right. They're creating it from they're creating roads from trails.
Yes. Yeah. So as a result, it always drove me crazy. And then to add insult to injury, the city fathers decided to make some random streets one way, and it's just like nuts. I've even with a map, I have a hard time navigating in Boston. I did not know that with the GPS, but it makes sense to me, because what is left if the street is like at an angle, but it's not exactly a left. It's more like a 10-degree left. So north south, I guess that's why they do that.
Well, usually the GPS will say immediate left or
right,
easy left.
Yeah. I don't know for a fact, but my guess is, knowing what I know about Boston and the streets of Boston, it's just that
going there.
It's all crazy. It's all crazy little goat paths.
I know. It's like, you know what? The roads are like a bowl of spaghetti.
That's right. Covered in sauce. Yeah. Jay, a pleasure to talk to somebody from my old stomping grounds in Worcester.
Oh, thanks, man.
Have a great day. I appreciate it.
Right.
Steve, Granada Hills, California. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, how you doing, Leo?
I'm great, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing well. Quick question. So I got talked in. We were looking for a new laptop, something, part home, part business. And I bought a Asus. It's the 2-in-1, 250 gigabytes, and then you get 2 terabytes of storage. How do you feel on those?
I like them a lot.
Do you?
Yeah, I just read a review from somebody who says, but I've always had good results with Asus. He was talking about Asus motherboards, so maybe that's not a fair thing. Did you get a Vivo book? What did you get?
Well, it just says it's the 536
notebook. Okay.
And it's, like I said, the 2-in-1. It does come with the graphics card. They said it's pretty decent graphics card because, my wife is going to want to do like some photoshopping stuff. So.
I think I love them. I think they're great. It's beautiful, isn't it? What are your qualms? Are you worried about something?
Well, I just heard other people saying, that, the battery doesn't last long.
Right.
the screen. I know it's supposed to, I get the 4K screen.
Stop reading reviews. Once you bought it, you're only doing yourself a disservice by reading the reviews. How's the battery life? Have you opened it? Have you started using it?
No, I just bought it the other day. I'm going to open it, but I caught you. I was going to try to talk to you yesterday, but so my next question.
Well, I don't have. Let me put it this way. Probably worth reading reviews if you haven't opened it because you can still return it. And I have to tell you, to be fair, I do not have experience with this specific laptop, so I don't know what battery life is like.
Right. So now my next question. So since it's got 256 gigabytes and then 2 terabytes, so if I'm going to do like my wife wants to do Excel and, Adobe, I should put that all on the 256, and then like if she wants to download.
You're kind of stuck. What you almost always have to do is put the programs and Windows on the same drive, the C drive. But at that point, that's what I would use the 256 for. And at that point, all your documents can be on the other drive. I like having a separate data drive. Yeah, and it's so big. Yeah, it won't be as fast probably, but it's big, and you don't need as fast just for the data. So what you do is, and you can do this in Windows, after you set it up, you say, put the home directory over here on D.
Okay.
I do think that's a good idea. D for data.
Okay, yeah, they gave me a few things, and I understand that, I guess, HP used to have their internals made by...
Honestly, yeah, Asus makes them for a lot of people. Generally, I tell people Dell, Lenovo, HP, those are your safe bets. But I think Asus makes some pretty good stuff. So I just don't have any direct experience. Hey, Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great Geek Week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.